What's up, YouTube? Silver Dragons here. Now, I was recently scrolling through the World Silver Survey for about the 10th time, and I noticed something really disturbing. You're going to want to see this. SD Bullion is giving away a monster box of 2024 Tree of Life silver coins. Sign up today at sdbullion.com/sweepstakes. Thank you so much for watching. I do sincerely appreciate it. If you want to learn more about investing in precious metals, or if you just want to watch awesome videos about gold and silver, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, so the World Silver Survey is put out every single year by the Silver Institute, and let's just dive in. Okay, here's our first stop: silver supply and demand. So supply, this is how much silver is being made available every single year, whether by mining or recycling. Those are the two big ways we get more silver. So last year in 2023, 830.5 million ounces of silver were mined out of the ground, and 178.6 million ounces of silver were recycled. So in total, just over a billion ounces of silver were made available in the year 2023. But when we look at demand was greater than this number. So almost 1.2 billion ounces of silver were needed to cover all of the demand. And they break it down. We have industrial, so electrical and electronics, and then, solar panels used almost 200 million ounces of silver last year. That's why everyone's talking about solar panels. They're using more and more silver. I mean, if we go year to year, starting in 2019, 74 million, 82, 88, 118, 193, and they're forecasting 232 million. So solar panels are definitely eating up a lot of silver every single year. Of course, we also have photography, jewelry, silverware, and then net physical demand. These are the stackers: 243 million ounces of silver, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if we look at the big picture, they actually used about 185 million more ounces of silver than were either mined or recycled. So where did this silver come from? Well, a lot of it came from identifiable silver bullion inventories. We have the numbers right here. So this is, we got London, CME. This is going to be Chicago, New York. We also have Shanghai. These exchanges hold silver on them, and they actually report how much silver they have. So from 2022 to 2023, they fell by about 62 million ounces. You can see that number over here, and I'm just going to read this because this is actually really important. So last year's deficit was very much reflected in reported silver inventory trends. Over the course of the year, stocks held in London vaults, as well as the various commodity exchange depositories that we track, fell by 62.6 million to end the year at 1,229.9 million ounces. This implies there were drawdowns of 121.7 million ounces from other unreported silver inventories. What? Where are these other unreported silver inventories, and why are they providing twice as much silver as the known above ground stockpiles? This doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, where are these massive stockpiles of silver that are bigger than the biggest ones we know about that are providing silver to industry? Where are they? Are they held in China? Are these private vaults? I mean, seriously, where is all of this silver? So I want you to remember this number here, 1,229.9 million. So about 1.2 billion ounces of silver in these known vaults. This is the silver that we know about. However, when we look at the US debt clock, they also report precious metal reserves, and look at the number they have for silver: 18.8 billion ounces of silver in reserves. So I know a lot of this is going to be held by countries, private owners, things of that nature, but still, that is a huge difference, 1.2 billion and 18.8 billion. So I actually have reached out to US Debt Clock for comment. They haven't replied at this time, but when they do, I'll definitely fill all of you in. Now, they do state here, there's no doubt that we are in a period of structural deficits for silver. For now, there remains enough silver inventories to fill these gaps. Reported stocks of the metal, namely those in London vaults, as well as exchange-registered depositories, amounted to 1.2 billion ounces at the end of 2023, and we understand there remain bullion inventories held elsewhere, right? Held elsewhere, what does that mean? Where are these other inventories? Stockpiles are finite, however, and eventually this drawdown will create tight physical market conditions and ultimately fuel price rallies. Yeah, I mean, right now it's not fueling any price rallies. We know the price is not determined by all of this physical silver sitting on these exchanges, but maybe at some point it will be. And if we look at this chart, this is showing the silver supply dwindling over the last 4 years, goes back to 2020, and you can see in green, this is the LBMA. London has most of the silver. So they were around 1.2 billion. They moved all the way down to about 850 million. In total, all of the exchanges combined were about 1.7. Now they're around 1.2 billion. So they're definitely moving lower. We are using up more silver every single year than is being provided. Now, I do want to show the physical investment for a moment. These are the stackers. These are the people actually pulling silver off of the exchange from the miners and keeping it as investment, right? Physical investment here. So global total last year, I already showed this number, but it was 243 million ounces. Where did most of that come from? The United States of America, 118 million, which, by the way, is lower than the previous 2 years. But then if we look at India, almost 50 million. India stacks a lot of silver, but they were also lower than the previous year. Germany fell off a cliff. Look at this. So if we go back to 2019, 37 million, 46 million, 50 million, 48 million, then 13 million. That's because they started taxing silver last year. So instead of stacking silver, people decided to invest in gold instead. So it is interesting that with Germany, stacking a lot less silver than normal, we see the number was way lower than the previous year. So either way, physical investment, people are not stacking as much silver as they had in the past. And frankly, they should be stacking silver right now. But the big thing that's disturbing to me is, again, this number right here, 18.8 billion ounces of silver versus the 1.2 billion ounces that are on the exchanges. So we know where a small fraction of the above ground silver is being held, but most of the above ground silver, we don't know where it's held at this point. And honestly, I think we have a right to know at least the categories for where it's being held. I mean, is this private stackers? Is it individuals? Is it countries? Is it businesses? Are these other exchanges that we don't know about? So I think we should know this information, and hopefully US Debt Clock will get back to me and actually let me know, where is all of this silver? They might not know exactly where it is, but maybe they could break down the categories, and then I could provide that information to you guys, because if we are slowly drawing down this supply of silver from the exchanges, and then it gets backflowed with all of this extra silver that's apparently available, that's apparently in reserves above ground already. I mean, this is not silver that hasn't been mined yet. This is silver that's already been mined. Then I think, even with the increase in solar panel production and electric vehicles and all this stuff, it's going to take a lot longer than we thought to really draw down the available silver supply. So this is something I'm really curious about. If we keep going at the current rate, the amount of above ground silver will be gone pretty quickly. I mean, probably in the next 20, 30 years. So here's the study that everyone references when they're talking about the world running out of silver by 2050, right? And this study came out December of 2022. Maintaining business as usual with the dominance of P-type technology, that's photovoltaics or solar panels, could require over 20% of the current annual silver supply by 2027 and accumulate cumulative 450 to 520 KT of silver until 2050. Approximately 85 to 98% of the current global silver reserves. So when you look at this, 98% of the current global silver reserves, which reserves are they looking at? Is this the 1.2 billion or the 18.8 billion? Okay, so I dug into it, and this is actually worse than I had originally thought. So right here is where they talk about the currently known silver reserves, and they actually cite where they got this information from. So if we click on this here, then we go to the U.S. Geological Survey. It pulls up this page here, and then we go to the report and scroll all the way down to page 153. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I had to dig for this information. You ready for the reserves? The number they come up with, 530 million ounces. That's what they're basing that study off of. Not the 1.2 billion, not the 18.8 billion, but only 530 million ounces of silver. So what does this mean? Well, I'm sad to say it, but I don't think we're going to be using up all of the silver reserves by 2050. Certainly not 85 to 98% of the current global silver reserves. It's just not going to happen because the information they're using in this study, in my opinion, is not accurate. Again, when the US debt clock gets back to me on this number, the 18.8 billion, I will definitely let you guys know because I'm just as curious as all of you. But when you see articles like this, solar energy production could require most of the global silver reserves by 2050, don't believe it. I mean, I used to believe this. I was in hook, line, and sinker. I went to the study. I read it. I thought, okay, everything looks fine. Everything makes sense. They're using up-to-date information. But now I don't think they're using up-to-date information. I think they definitely made a mistake when they came up with the silver reserves. And so I don't think they're going to be depleted by 2050. I think it's going to be farther out. Maybe 2070, 2090, 2100. I mean, we could all be dead by the time solar panels use up all of the available silver on Earth. So really disturbing stuff here, guys. I guess the last thing I want to say is that this doesn't stop me from buying silver. I mean, the reason I'm buying silver is not because I think all of the silver will be used up. There will be no available silver and the price is going to skyrocket for that reason. That's not why I'm buying silver. I'm buying silver to protect myself from a failing dollar, and the dollar is continuing to fail. So it doesn't matter to me if we use up all the silver or not. I just want to have physical silver in my possession for insurance. I want to protect my wealth, so that's why I'm buying silver, not because I think the price will skyrocket, because we're going to eventually run out. Now, if we do run out of silver for some reason, then yeah, it would be nice to have a little bit on hand because sure, it could shoot the price up, but I think honestly, hyperinflation is what is going to shoot the price up long before that. So anyway, that's my video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next one. Silver Dragons out.